Kazakhstan'dan Salim, welcome to Inform You. The global economy, which has proved surprisingly resilient this year, is expected to falter next year under the strain of wars, still elevated inflation, and continued high interest rates. The Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development estimated that international growth would slow to 7% in 2024 from an expected 9% pace this year. Inflation in the euro area has slowed down since its peak of 10.6% in October 2022 to 2.9% in October of this year. However, food inflation remains stubbornly high as consumers continue to grapple with the cost of living crisis. For example, real food inflation was 4 and 6% in the euro area in October 2023, putting huge pressure on low-income households. In 2022, inflation rates scared in the European Union reaching levels not seen in previous 4 decades. Between 1997 and late 2021, the highest annual inflation rate the bloc saw was 4.4%, as recorded in July 2008. The 4 most populated European Union countries, the real food inflation rate was below the European Union average in Germany and France, yet above that in Spain and Italy. When the European Free Trade Area, the United Kingdom, and the European Union candidate countries are included, Turkey, with 11% recorded the highest real food inflation rate. So, inflation in the United Kingdom reached a 40-year high. In June, it was 9.4%, the highest level since February 1982. The main driver was the sharp rise in gasoline prices. A new jump in energy prices is expected in October, and inflation reached 11%. Inflation fell to 4 and 6% in October from 6 and 7% in September, according to official figures. That drop, measured by the Consumer Prices Index (CPI), prompted the government of the United Kingdom to claim it had met its inflation target early, having pledged to bring down the level to below 5.4% by the end of the year. Let's move to Canada. Food Banks Canada says its annual survey shows that nearly 2 million people used a food bank in March 2023. That is the highest number of people using food banks since the group began collecting data in 1989. Food Banks Canada says food insecurity is rising with inflation and the high cost of living, which is causing more people to use food banks. Food prices rose 3 and 7% between September 2022 and September 2023, according to the most recent Consumer Price Index (CPI) report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Food prices are rising because of several factors, including inflation, labor costs, the supply chain, and the war in Ukraine. Labor costs are still high, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Food production costs are estimated to increase 4 and 9% in 2023, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Droughts and wildfires in the western US led to lower than average crop yields from farms in the region, driving up consumer costs for food. According to NPR, supply chain issues that have continued since the pandemic have affected food supply. Domestic food price inflation remains high, with people in Venezuela, Lebanon, Argentina, Turkey, and Egypt particularly hard hit, according to the World Bank. Domestic food price inflation remains high. Inflation higher than 5% is experienced in 81 and 9% of low-income countries, 80% of lower-middle-income countries, and 50% of upper-middle-income countries, and many experiencing double-digit inflation. In addition, 60% of high-income countries are experiencing high food price inflation. The most affected countries are in Africa, North America, Latin America, South Asia, Europe, and Central Asia. In real terms, food price inflation exceeded overall inflation in 76% in 166 countries. Since the last update 2 weeks ago, the agriculture and export price index closed 2% and 6% higher respectively, while the cereal price index closed 3% lower. The increase in the export price index was driven by increase in cocoa, coffee, Arabica, and cotton prices. Among cereals, maize and rice prices saw a decline of 5% and 2% respectively, while wheat prices increased by 2% since the last update. On a year basis, maize and wheat prices are 30% and 31% lower respectively, while rice prices are 36% higher compared to January 2021. Maize prices are 13% lower, wheat prices are 16% lower, while rice prices are 20% higher. Stay safe, stay tuned.